Rutley was waiting for the truck, which always ranks the little trucks all the way up. The workman was pushing the winch down, was trying as fast as he can, because Rutley already had the train to pull. It went slowly, but it was getting there. And everybody says, better late than never. Finally, the truck had arrived at the bottom and coupled to the trucks. But the driver not forgot to uncouple, and soon the winch was pulling up. Because Rutley was so loud, the workman didn't hear that the driver abruptly said to stop. He didn't know, he couldn't see them. He just knew that the winch was pulling. But when he finally realized that Rutley and his driver were coming up, he tried to stop it, but some tricksters messed with the winch, and then it couldn't stop. Workman tried everything, but Rutley was dragged up, and more was the points were set to another area, which means but the winch was pulling that truck, and so the winch would pull the truck, but Rutley will go there. Wait a second. The workman was in shock, as well as Rutley's driver, as the winch kept on pulling and pulling. It looked like the middle truck was about to be pulling apart. Then disaster struck. Rutley derailed off the tracks and was getting pulled up by the winch. And then, when the people who messed with the winch finally stopped, it was too late. Rutley was hanging up, as well as his trucks. And then the winch snapped and the trucks fell. The workman quickly rushed to see if everybody was okay. The driver of Rutley had a broken back because he fell. The workman called the police, but those tricksters who messed with the winch got away. Rutley had to be mended because of this incident. The quarry was to be closed, as Rutley was the only engine who worked in the quarry. The workman who was pulling off the winch wasn't blamed, as he tried to stop it, but the tricksters messed with the winch. So he didn't get fired. But the quarry was closed for a amount of 1 week, as it took some days to repair Rutley, and the winch, which has been messed with, had to be all again rebuilt because it was messed with a lot. When an incident happened, the workman went down and tried to find a telephone booth, but since they were in a quarry, there was none. So he had to go to a village and ask them for a call. So go all the way to Kidsborough to tell that, well, actually it was to it was actually to Andrea's port where the controller was, and so he had to go and find the car. Meanwhile, at Juneville, Knickerbocker was about to leave Juneville with the maintenance train. He had a couple from front to back. He blew his whistle and started off. As Knickerbocker isn't that fast, he is really strong, and so he could pull the maintenance train in almost triple the size, or maybe even more. It was tough going up the hill, but Knickerbocker could manage. As Knickerbocker isn't the fastest, he's still really strong. Almost like Gary. And he's pretty big too. He's going up the big hill. He slowly but surely made it up the big hill. Was going really fast, but we don't know why. But then there was trouble. Because of the weight on the back, the coupling was really rusty. The front of the maintenance train made it up, but at the back, the coupling snapped and crashed into Knickerbocker. Knickerbocker was in shock. One of the cars went through and hit the driver. But Knickerbocker couldn't stop. The brakes were broken because of that truck who bashed into Knickerbocker. Knickerbocker couldn't stop now. He couldn't stop or nothing. Then his driver was in shock. The points were set to the old mine. A truck is forbidden for big tank engines like Knickerbocker. Only Wannabe can go there. But Knickerbocker couldn't stop. His brakes were broken. He slowed down for some reason. Somehow the truck was managing to slow down Knickerbocker. Knickerbocker went slow, and then he sped up again. Now, the driver was more worried than ever. He didn't want to jump out as he didn't want Knickerbocker to fall anywhere and he would get blamed for it, even though the couplings were rusty and was kinda well the people who made the truck. Or it was just time. But the driver Knickerbocker was worried. But he was ready if Knickerbocker was to fall down. Knickerbocker struggled to go. But for the driver was okay. But then Knickerbocker got grip on the rails. And then it again slowed down. It went for like this for a good amount of time. Then the truck finally snapped. Knickerbocker was sent rolling down. The van at the front was the first to the rail. Then the second truck, the third, fourth, and then Knickerbocker. The driver jumped quickly. He was almost swooped by the trucks. He managed to escape out of that, but he broke his arm and his left leg had a fractured bone. It was for him. It was really hard to climb up. Just like that, Knickerbocker has fallen into the water for the second time. Luckily, the crash wasn't far away from the town, but a big hill stood up in it. The driver quickly followed the track with how fast he can go. He climbed up a little bit the hill and started moving across the hill to Kidsborough to call the controller of somewhere Wales. It was pretty steep. He managed to get somewhere where it was really steep. Soon he was able to see Kidsborough. He slowly went down the mountain and began to follow the tracks all the way up to Kidsborough. He went as fast as he can, but he couldn't go really fast as his leg had a fractured bone somewhere. He saw the buildings at Kidsborough, and he knew that he made it. And hopefully Knickerbocker would be able to get mended, unlike Elmira, who got scrapped because she fell in that lake. Soon he arrived and he saw a telephone booth, so he went to the telephone booth to call the controller. Meanwhile, Quirk was in the little yard, about to leave with the goods train. They wait for the points to be set wrong correctly, and Quirk released steam and blew her whistle. Soon Quirk started off the goods train to his second get all the way to Danco mine, as they need some materials, as they are gonna be rebuilding their mine, as it got abandoned because of theories of Thompson, the ghost friend. And every time and all of those times when they have to evacuate because of all those earthquakes, because that mine is near a place where there's a lot of earthquakes. So a lot collapses and it floods a lot because of the rain in Wales. So Quirk had to take the goods train all the way to Danco. But the trucks would have a better plan of breaking away. Quirk was about to cross the crossing. Quirk was just simply chopping along the tracks, elbowing whistling whenever she had to. Then Quirk entered the tunnel. Soon Quirk got to the hill where the trucks went out their key trick. Not very tricky or cheeky, because the couplings were rusty down the truck on the first truck. So it wasn't really the driver's fault again. So the passed Danco mine, but they had to go. But they couldn't go like that. So they had to go all the way up to the hill and then go to the area. Soon they were getting up the hill. Coupling on the first truck. The driver heard of the coupling on the first truck. He was a little bit worried, but he wasn't really that much worried. But then the coupling snapped. Trucks were going backwards with 5 speeds as they rolled down the hill. The driver, when he finally realized, because he could easily chop, he quickly backed up to catch those trucks. Those shaky trucks. Wait. Or maybe it was their coupling. Oh, rusty coupling. I knew that something was wrong when I heard it, that creak near the couplings. I knew it was something bad. Oh, and it was. The trucks could have been anywhere now because of the big hill. They could go really fast down the hill. The driver looked back and he saw them. But when he came upon them, they were derailed. Then the brakes failed and then he crashed into the first truck. It wasn't a nasty crash, just enough to a little bit damage Quirk. And give the driver a little bruise. Luckily, the man in the brake van got out, and that was a good decision as the the coupling snapped and the brake van fell all the way down the hill. Surprisingly landed on its wheels. Luckily, nobody was really hurt. The man in the brake van managed to get out, and the driver only had a little bruise on the impact. But Quirk was still able to be driven another day. But since the mining made those trucks, they blamed that the coupling was burst because of them. But no, it was because of rain and time. Anyway, it wasn't the biggest crash. But it sure was a terrifying moment for the man in the brake van as he was rolling down the hill at fast speed. He could have fallen off the hill with the trucks. It would have been probably a more worse crash, or he could have the brake van could have been crushed by those trucks. But luckily, the man in the brake van fought fast and quickly got out. But this was a trouble for them to mine, because tomorrow they had to start mining again, because they ran out of materials. Well, some materials at least.